Today, my friends, we are going to be breaking down Queen Charge Lavaloon at Town 11 for you guys. We're going to be doing this as a full breakdown guide in order to help you guys improve with this strategy, which hopefully we can help you master. So that's right, guys, we are going over Queen Charge Lavaloon. Now, this strategy is definitely a very, very difficult strategy, but we want to try and make it simple for you guys. So, what are we going to do first? Well, the biggest thing here is what are going to be your key objectives. So let's get straight to the point about that. We're going to try and deal with the enemy CC and enemy queen. Other value that we need to get is at least one air defense, but we can also get things like expos, wizard towers, infernos, air sweepers, any Teslas, the eagle. There's a wide variety of different sort of defenses that we can get that target air. If we can pull any traps too, like a tornado trap, that is even more helpful too. But the biggest thing that we want to try and do here is getting rid of at least those three things, if possible. As long as we get an air defense and then the enemy CC and queen, we're fine. But other value does also help too. What we're trying to do with this strategy is we're trying to narrow down the base, which allows us to Lavaloon a heck of a lot easier. So, what are we doing? Well, you're going to see from the army composition of the attacker. He has regular wall breakers and super wall breakers. Now, I wouldn't really recommend this if you're going to be doing both, but with this being said, I actually was really surprised about this attack. So what you're doing with the super wall breakers is you're going to use that with the queen. Now, if you decide to bring some regular wall breakers, if your super wall breakers have expired already and, you're waiting for their cooldown, regular wall breakers can still be used, and they can actually be used against these more spread out air defense bases. So for those of you who see air defenses where they're a bit more spread out, and they're kind of in their own compartment along with others, then you could actually take advantage of that by using the wall breakers with the king. So that's kind of a really good idea to kind of think about. So that's really going to be up to you. So on this base here, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find our way into the base here. That way we're able to deal with the CC, we're able to deal with the queen, we're able to deal with an air defense, and we're able to get an inferno and any other value that we can get from that compartment. And with that being said, that clears everything there. On the opposite side, what you'll see in this example is we're going to be using that king, and he's going to be working his way into here. So what we're going to be taking a look at is an entire area that's basically going to be cut out. We're going to see most to all of this area being completely cut out, or at least for the most part. Definitely not here. Let me redo that again. But you guys can still see what I'm talking about. We're clearing a good chunk of this base, which means that we've only got a Lavaloon this side here. That's really good, and that really shows that, what you're doing with your Queen Charge is you're trying to get as much value, but you're trying to keep it short and simple. So just remember that you also want to make sure that you're raging up your queen and stuff. So I don't want this to be super long, but let's first focus in on the Queen Charge. I want to then also talk about the number of balloons a little bit later on, so then you guys get the idea. Now, don't forget, I do have a Lavaloon pathing guide, which I'll leave as a card up top. So if you are looking to sort of learn the Lavaloon, I would suggest you watch that video, and it works for those of you who are at Tunnel 11, 12, 13, even for those of you who are at Tunnel 10 and 9 somehow watching this video. So you'll see from here is that we are going to be dropping in the super wall breaker. That's going to allow the queen to break in. This is where we can use our first rage spell. Our queen is definitely getting hammered, and we could even use that if we wanted to, but you'll see two wall breakers going in with the king. So you see right there, we're using that rage, we're going into a lot of damage, especially with the cannon. So that allows us to sort of start getting that value, but along with that is the rage is going to help the queen deal with these two main things. So as the king is clearing out this entire area here, we're getting value from the queen by taking care of two main things, the enemy CC and queen. So you'll see that that is why we dropped in a rage. So now that we're guaranteed to deal with both underneath that one rage, we can now start our Lavaloon. We're going to start with the Stone Slimer, which I usually would prefer, and then starting to go in with the rest of the attack. Let's pause it here first. I want to get you guys into the understanding of the Lavaloon portion. So right here, you guys will see the number of balloons for each defense in the game. Now, this is universal, so I didn't really want to make one just for Town Hall 11. So for those of you who are watching who are higher or lower Town Hall levels, then this kind of gives you guys the universal from Town Hall 9 all the way up to Town Hall 13. So this kind of gives you guys them in the sort. I sorted them out, so in terms of the number of balloons, 2 loons, 3 loons, 4 balloons, 5, 7, and I believe 11 too. So you guys have a wide range of there. So definitely feel free to pause it, screenshot it, share with your clanmates that screenshot or something like that. But hopefully that kind of helps you guys improve a little bit more with when you're sending in your Lavaloon. So what we're going to see now is we're going to see this Lavaloon being dropped in. Now, how do you deal with base designs like this? Well, what we want to do is we want to drop in a couple balloons, so you'll see 3 balloons on each of those defenses, because we have the Stone Slammer also rolling in. Well, that's going to allow us to definitely take it down in one shot. So as the Lava Hounds are going in, you'll see that we're using the Grand Warden a little bit later on. We're not using it with the group that's going into the Multi-Inferno, but instead, we're going to try and make sure that we are sort of hopefully having that Grand Warden go with some group. And you'll see right here is that he went with the group that was in the Multi-Inferno compartment, and we took care of that with ease. That's all you really got to do. Now, what about haste spells? I didn't really explain those as you saw them. So haste should be used to get to defenses really quick. So this means that you want to use them in the direction to where your balloons are going to be traveling. So this also means that you're trying to look for defenses such as Multi-Infernos, Expos, Archer Towers, Wizard Towers, Teslas, really anything that hits air, including the Grand Warden Altar, should you be using a haste. More specifically, though, you want to make sure that you're using the haste spells over things like air defense or like near air defenses, because those are where the loons are really going to try and get the most value. It's because, of course, you want to take out the air defense. So just a couple tips there to give you guys and keep you guys in mind. With that being said, let's go and move on into more examples using Queen Charge Lalo. So we've got another example here for you guys with the Queen Charge Lalo, and what we're going to be seeing here is that we have wall breakers and we have jump. So this is really a base design that is a little bit more risky to hit with this. So what we're going to be seeing is that we are going to be starting our queen, and she's going to be working her way in like this. So what's going to happen after this is we're going to use that jump spell over the enemy clan castle, and that's going to give us access to both the enemy CC and the queen. So we already get access to the CC when we enter into the base. Then what we're also going to have to do is deal with the queen. But not to worry, as long as we're raging her up, which we have 3 rage spells, remember, then we can start our Lavaloon going in like this, or, you know, whichever way we decide to sort of do our Lavaloon. But the idea is we're trying to take care of the enemy CC and queen. We can get like 2 air defenses there from where we charge, so that's still really, really good. So that's what we're sort of trying to take a look at, but that's really all it is. It's very simple to identify, but still very difficult. I mean, you got 2 ground expos going right into there. So that's the reason why we're not charging in here, because we would then be at an immediate disadvantage because of this ground expo. So we definitely don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that we're staying away from them until we get closer to the queen. So you'll see from here is that we're going to be starting off with 1 test wall breaker, seeing if there are any wall breaker or any small bombs there. After that, we can definitely start sending in everything else in. So you'll see that what we're dropping in, though, we dropped in the healers, and the only reason is because if the queen didn't start taking if she didn't start taking damage, then what would happen is the healers would move to the king. So you have to wait until the queen takes damage before you can drop in your healers. Or you drop in your queen and healers first before you actually drop in your king. But remember, if your king starts taking damage, the healers will move right off the queen onto the king. So just remember that, keep that in mind. So you'll see the wall breakers are going in. We're not going to be able to break into the wall, but we will be able to use a couple more wall breakers. You may think here, the queen's going to continue to move down. Well, thanks to how the buildings are laid out here, we already set a good funnel so that then she can move right in. We had to make sure though that we used a rage spell because she was definitely low on health. And this allows us to deal with the enemy CC here, which is going to be a Lava Hound and Balloon CC. So you'll see from here is that we are going to be poisoning it up. We're not going to use a rage spell because we can still deal with this without the rage. Once that rage goes down, we should be able to deal with a lot of those lava pups. And all we have to do is use a third rage over the queen to deal with the enemy queen. But since we already know that we're going to have access to that enemy queen, then all we really have to do, because we still have our ability, we can now start our Lavaloon portion. So you'll see right here is that we're going to be starting it in a counterclockwise manner. So you'll see that we're going to be dropping in a couple groups of balloons, the Stone Slammer, and then we're also going to drop in the Grand Warden. That Warden's going to be right behind those balloons, and this is going to allow our balloons to stay alive and get some extra hit points as they start to move in. Remember that haste spells should be used over those key buildings. So we want to get to buildings like the air defenses really quick. We want to get to those buildings like the Infernos. But you'll see right here as well is that we are going to use the Grand Warden ability over the Warden, or I guess over the balloons as they go through that multi-inferno. So definitely make sure that you are dealing with the multi-inferno with the Warden if there is one in the back end. Now you'll see that we are hasting up into a wizard tower. That's one of the key buildings to take out, so that's definitely worth hasting into. But with that being said, that gives you guys another really nice example of using this strategy. I know that this one looked really difficult and it could have gone haywire very easily, but it was still a very good example of really how you guys can get a triple using Queen Charge Lavaloon. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on into a couple more examples using this strategy. Here's another example with Queen Charge Lavaloon, and the big thing that you guys can see from here is that where are we going to be trying to enter in from? Well, let's take a look at where the enemy queen and enemy CC are, and they are around this area here. So that means that what we can actually do is we can actually create a funnel here with maybe the king or a P.E.K.K.A. Like you see right here, we do have a P.E.K.K.A. in there. So we can actually use either the P.E.K.K.A. or king here and over here, and that now allows us to enter into the base with the super wall breaker with the queen and the healers. Why is this important? Well, we can actually clear this entire bottom section, which gives us 2 air defenses, an inferno, and it also allows us to kill off the CC and the enemy queen. That's really good value, and we still have a jump, and we can still get deeper. We can still get 3 air defenses from this base, and you'll see that happening. So this is a really, really simple sort of base that we can actually really identify very quickly. This is not a hard base to Queen Charge Lalo at all. I mean, if you're giving us 2 air defenses almost immediately, that's really good. So, with that out of the way, sort of go into this example. Let's show you guys what we're sort of, trying to, what's our point here. So what we're going to be doing is we do have a couple goblins, but we're not going to be using them on the town hall until that there's something sort of tanking. So you'll see right there, now we drop in the king and the goblins. So we have a P.E.K.K.A. on the left side and the king on the right. Both of them are going to allow our queen to enter into the base a lot easier. So this is now allowing us to sort of create the funnel, keep the queen in the base, and allow her to go into the direction that I was mentioning before, which is here. So that is where we want to make sure what we're doing is going through the entire attack properly. So you'll see that we're going to be dropping in the healers now. We did drop in a balloon as a Coco loon, but of course the Seeking Airmine still pops up, so we now only have 4 healers, but that's still fine. So you'll see from here is we are going to deal with the enemy CC coming through, which is going to be an interesting one. Triple Valkyrie and archers. So kind of interesting, something a little bit different. But remember, again, we are still making sure that we can rage up our queen through a section like that. So you'll see from here is that we're just constantly raging up our queen because she's being hit by a lot of damage. But we've already got the value that we needed, so we really don't need to worry about her too much. And we can start with our Lavaloon portion, starting with the Stone Slammer. The Stone Slammer is going to be used there just as, a tankier loon. As the queen starts to work her way through, we can then start to drop in our lava hounds up into this area here and our balloons starting to move in. So you'll see that she will take out this other air defense here, giving this one lava hound the only choice to go to that air defense, and that just leaves us with just sending in the warden with those groups and having everything sort of move their way into that compartment. And just notice how much value the queen got from just using a jump and super wall breakers. Really, really simple, and it really allows us to clear a larger portion of the base. And with that being said, guys, that's it for this example. I mean, there really isn't too much else to say about this. I mean, other than using the haste spells to get to those defenses like you saw right there with the air defense, and like with here with the archer tower and the wizard tower, you were getting a lot of good value from haste spells. So, all in all, take what you can take away is if you can get value and keep your queen alive for an entire section, you're actually going to clear the entire base with the Lavaloon. So that kind of gives you guys a pretty interesting example of using the Queen Charge Lalo, but let's move on into our final example using this strategy. So our final example with Queen Charge Lalo, and this base is a little bit tougher to sort of Lavaloon. Definitely not something I would hit with it, especially with this sort of style compartment, like a submarine sort of compartment. But the big thing here is we are going to be trying to get rid of the enemy CC and the enemy queen and work our way down with the queen this way. So what we're going to be trying to do is we're going to basically walk our queen here, super wall breaker into here, and now this is going to allow us to go through here. Remember that we're still trying to look for the enemy CC and the enemy queen, and as long as we get 1 to 2 air defenses, then we're going to be completely fine. But though we got to make sure that we are sending in our Lavaloon correctly, we want to make sure that we are sending them in just small groups here and there. But that kind of gives you guys a really solid idea of what you're trying to look for with the Lavaloon. So, with that out of the way, let's play this final example to give you guys a bit of a harder example. This is definitely not a base I would try to Lalo. But other than that, you guys kind of get the idea of using a Queen Charge Lalo on a base like this. So also remember, I might have forgotten to sort of talk about it, but remember when you're using the king, make sure that you're placing him closer to the next building, so then instead of walking in this way, he's going to walk this direction. So make sure that you're trying to take advantage on that. Once the queen starts taking damage, remember to place down your queen. So this is kind of just a synopsis of what I've talked about before. So you see one coconut balloon there in order to soak up any seeking air mines. After that, we're able to easily deal with the queen, drop in the super wall breaker, and that allows us to enter in. We want to make sure though that we're dealing with the enemy CC, which is a a double witch archer CC. So definitely a little bit of a more difficult CC here. What you'll see from what we're doing is we're allowing our queen to charge in. She hasn't been targeted by the eagle yet, so that's still really good. And we don't really have to use our ability, especially when we still have a rage spell left. So what we're going to be doing is we want to make sure that we are keeping that queen alive. We're going to freeze the Grand Warden altar because it is doing some significant damage to the queen. That means that we do have to freeze it. So you'll see from here is that what we're doing is we're sending everything in. We are making sure that we can start sending in our Lavaloon once we've gotten the value that we need. We're going to drop in the Stone Summer first, then a couple of groups of balloons, along right behind a Lava Hound. We're going to haste up into that air defense, and now you'll see that we have a group going into this section here, which now leaves this section unattended, being hit against the eagle. Though we are going to be using the haste to get them right up through into those other defenses like the wizard tower and getting rid of things like the air defense. But with that being said, we are slowly getting, we're slowly starting to thin out. So this is kind of looking almost like a failed attack. Like, if the queen goes down, then this attack is going to be a fail. But of course, I'm showing you guys this because it was a triple. What you'll see from here is that what is going down is that what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that because we still had that Stone Slammer up with the balloons, we can use that Grand Warden, even though we could have used it a little bit earlier as well, especially over the Lava Hound, which it would have been tanking a little bit more. We still got the value that we needed to, and we were still able to completely get through the base, even though we only have the queen's ability left. But with that being said, that kind of gives you guys all the examples. I know that this last one was a little bit harder, but hopefully this gives you guys the best guide to using Queen Charge Lalo. I wanted to make sure that it was the best guide for you guys, so hopefully I went over everything. If there was something I missed, let me know in the comments below. But other than that, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I hope that this sort of helps you guys improve in your attacks. Don't forget to go ahead and share this with your clanmates if they want to improve in Queen Charge Lalo. So definitely recommend them this video. Also, feel free to go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you guys are new to the channel so you guys can join the Corrupt fam and never miss an upload. Also, feel free to go ahead and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Either follow me on there as well, and then also feel free to join my community Discord server, and I also have merch thanks to Playmakers Gaming. Another thing is, if you guys want to support me even further, feel free on joining the channel as a channel member. Feel free to join, or I guess, do that if you want to support me even further. Just you guys being here is definitely a good way to support, though. Another thing, if you guys want to go ahead and join any of the clans I'm covering in this game, feel free to go ahead and join any of the clans that I cover and their Discord servers. Their links are in the description. Remember that they do not take in-game requests. But that being said, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Corrupt, signing out.